Alright everybody, welcome back to MECH. Wads is right here, as always, recording from the nest, and I'm here to bring you a brand new deck profile, and I'm talking about my Burnout Engine. Now this is brand new for Wave 5. I used a similar deck going into Wave 5 when I was running proxies, but with the release of the cards, I started reading over a few other things and changed it up a little bit. Now, this deck was born out of the old Road Rage engine, and it follows a similar philosophy using the orange and the black to just pile on the Pierce. The orange flips aren't huge, but the black flips are, and these guys can dole out some big, beefy Pierce hits. And I think you guys are really going to enjoy this, so let's go ahead and jump right into the profile. Alright guys, so let's go ahead and get started by taking a look at the bot lineup. Starting on the right, you'll see Cliff Jumper. As you know, he's been a staple for the Engine series since the very beginning, even in Wave 1 when the Engine series was garbage. And then in Wave 2, I started the 4-wide and it started to take a little bit more shape. And he provides the draw engine, as well as, you know, he gets bigger as your cars die. In his bot mode side, he gets +1 for each car in the KO. Not much more I can say about that. Moving on to a new addition, you'll see Wind Chargers over there. And he provides a big first-round hit, as well as he basically is a substitute for Dead End, essentially, in this, because you'll get the +2 draw, and then he also gives you Plan 1, which is great, because I love being able to stack like my white-black pips to be able to stretch my attacks just a little bit further. Now you'll also see Prowl from Wave 1, always classic. It works really well in this because he provides Bold 2 for all your cars, so when you're getting ready to do swing outs, you can provide Bold for everybody to just push that Pierce just a little bit more. He also, surprisingly often enough, gets the heal effect. I'll let like Stakeout go out and do a nice beefy Pierce attack and die, and then let Wind Charger heal up 3. It's all about making sure you got your timing right for that, though. And then last on the left there, you'll see I've got Stakeout, and he's a classic little guy. Surprisingly, he does quite a bit in this deck. He can swing for some really big hits, and with the Pierce, he's just going to lay the hurt on pretty well. Alright, that being said, let's go ahead and jump right over into the upgrades. Alright, getting right up into the upgrades. You'll notice that they're all 3-ofs, which was a pretty simple choice for me in this one. We have 3 grenade launchers, and there's not much more to say about that. It's aggro, you know they're going to be in there. I have to say, though, they originally weren't, and I found that you definitely need it in this. Next to that, you'll see turbo boosters with cars. You know that that's going to be a guaranteed 3-of, because the untaps are a huge part of using the cars, and I'm all about trying to make cars get better and better, and I'm just trying to prove that they can still make it to tier 1, so, you know, I'm going to run turbo boosters in all my car decks. Another 3-of brand new is going to be nitro boosters, and this one's definitely an interesting call, because if you can go into your swing out, you can drop a nitro boosters on just about anybody that's not Cliff, because we've got Stakeout, Prowl when he's in alt mode, as well as Wind Charger when he's in bot mode, and they all have that base 3 attack, and you can just pile the Bolt on them instead of trying to beef them up, and they can pretty much go in, and then it procs right away, and then they untap, and then they can go again, so you can stretch those swing outs from 2 or 3 to 3 or 4, which is fantastic. Next to that, you'll see RR Disruptor Blade. Another one that I didn't originally include, but I found that I needed to beef up my attacks a little more, and as often as you're flipping black pips in this deck, it's going to stick around. It's not just going to act as a grenade launcher and just go away. And then last but not least, we got 3 backup beams. I love piling on the Bold in this deck, and this was just an obvious pick for me. The green pip gives you a way to throw away stuff you don't necessarily need at the time, but also it gives you access to a weapon to pile the Bolt on pretty early. That being said, let's go ahead and we'll jump right into the actions. Alright, let's go ahead and get started on the actions. As you can see, I start off with the classic 3 start your engines. It's a car deck, it's an auto include. I'm not really going to say much more about that. Jumping over, we're going to go ahead and talk about Designated Target. Now, I personally love this card. The double black is a great addition to this deck, but more than that, this deck is all about taking advantage of your swing outs,
And Designated Target does this fantastically, especially now that we have Nitro boosters. So if you're swinging for 2, 3, 4 attacks, and if you have the Nitro boosters or even all your guys during a swing out, the Designated Target's going to drop the Pierce across all of them, and you can just pile it onto whoever you want. So this is definitely going to be an auto-include as 3 anytime I build this particular loadout. Next to that, you're going to go ahead and see that I've got Heat of Battle at a 3 times. I needed more white icons in this, and I skipped it the first time I built this deck, but I found now that I actually really like it, especially with the orange-black version. I mostly save it for swing outs, but I'll drop it on a normal attack if I need a little something extra. Because I don't care if you have the tough 3, you can pile as much blue on as you want. As long as I've got big Pierce, all that damage is going through. So it's perfect for swing outs because I'll flip Prowl down and then drop a Heat of Battle, and then all of a sudden I've got bold 5 on everybody, and it just piles up, piles up, piles up, and it's amazing. And next to that, I've got 3 Rock Toss, mostly for the orange and black icons, but it's good to have that extra little bit of ping in there too. Just, you know, have someone that's left with 1 health, you can just ping them off, which is great. It's the same reason you'll see next to that I'm running 3 Precision Fire, and that's so I can spread it around a little bit. If you're playing against someone who has people in body mode, or a lot of people that are going to hang out in bot mode, this is perfect because for the most part you're going to sit in alt mode, but even then sometimes it's just worth taking the ping to kill somebody off and spread some damage to the rest of their team. Alright, moving on to the next one, you'll see I have 3 Calculated Strike. This was perfect for this deck because I love piling on the Pierce, and this was great as an add-on for people like Stakeout, because then you can just give him the +2 and guarantee him the Pierce too. So any other black icons that he hits are going to go towards his base attack. So, I mean, there's a good chance. I've found that on average when I get a decent loadout for him, he's going to be hitting for like 6 Pierce 6. It's insane. Next to that, you'll see I have 3 Hit and Run. Now, these took the place of Swerve. Swerve was kind of useless in this deck. I ran it solely for the white and black pips. Having a functional white-black was a fantastic thing because now I have another means of flipping Prowl down to trigger him and then be able to flip him back up to either draw or just to have the beefier attack. But on top of that, if he takes any damage early, you can fling one of that damage over there, and since it's a transfer, things like Hollow Matter Projector or Motor Master or Captain Ironhide skill, they don't matter because you're transferring the damage versus just dealing it, and I think that's great. So this was definitely a good choice for a 3 of. Getting into the 2 ofs, you'll see I have 2 Fight for Position. I originally was going to run 3, but I was constrained for space, and this was just one I was more comfortable in pulling back to 2. I mean, in the future, I might put that back up to 3 and cut Rock Toss down. But for now, I was comfortable with the 2 of it. It showed up often enough. And then last but not least, I got 2 Wedge formations. This was, again, mostly for the black and orange, but the green icon lets me fish it to my hand, and there was plenty of situations where I'm triggering all 3 effects because Cliff and Windcharger are both melee, and I know that Prowl and Stakeout are both specialists in car mode, but if you flip Prowl up, he turns into a ranged, and that'll give you the draw too. It's the same with Cliff. Flip him up if you need the extra draw off. It's basically a fish. You can cycle through cards a little bit. But I found in this particular build I don't play it as often as I did in Road Rage. I don't know why, but I ended up scaling it back to 2, again, for space. And this is another one where, depending on how I feel, I might push it back up to 3, but for now it's going to stay at 2. And that's pretty much it for the deck. So we'll go ahead and call it here.
Alright guys, that's pretty much it for me for this time. You won't see a whole lot of gameplay with this deck because I've already started tearing it apart. With Wave 5 being out, I have so many ideas and so many things to build that no single deck is probably going to stay built for too long. But yeah, you can expect to see more deck profiles and more gameplay videos coming down the road. And the mechanical problems segment is going to start being more sporadic. We're eliminating the wheel, and this is just because Phil's started working different hours, so there's going to be a few changes in the channel, but we're still going to keep bringing content to you as often as we can. So I want to thank y'all for coming out to see me again, and remember to make every card hurt!